Major breaking news on Friday. The 49ers and Brock Purdy have a mega extension. We're going to break down all of it here today. NFL Spotlight starts now. Welcome in. It is the Monday, May 19 edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. I am your host, Ari Meirov. It is supposed to be the quiet portion of the offseason right now, but that is not the case as we had some big breaking news over the weekend. Also, stay tuned over here on the back end of the show. We will be revealing who will be our special Spotlight guest of the week here coming up tomorrow. It is an executive. It's a general manager. I'll say that now, but we will reveal who that is over here on the back end of the show. But like I said, we have some big news to get to. Let me bring in my good friend Ben Allen. Ben, what is going on? This is some news we've been waiting on for a while. It finally got done. For some reason, Ben, it happened on a Friday. I don't know why you're doing it on a Friday, but it did.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of was what was so weird to me about this, because when it happened, I called you. I'm like, did you see this coming? Brock Purdy, 5 years, $265 million. He's staying there in San Francisco. Happened late on Friday. That was just, a little bit weird to me. Not your normal news dump. Not something that you usually want to squeak out. You want to say, hey, this is a big deal. Have all the shows talk about it the next day.
Exactly.
They had to save it for Monday like us. So, you're taking a guy who was the last pick in the 2022 NFL draft, one of the cheapest players, definitely the best value play in all of the NFL. His base salary every single year up till this point has been under $1 million. He now catapults himself into the top 10 paid players in the NFL with $53 million a year. He's going to be ahead of guys like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. We had Jason Fitzgerald of Over the Cap on earlier this offseason. He predicted that this would be a deal that could push Dak Prescott $60 million a year. Ultimately, falls short of that, $7 million. But I mean, when you look at the number, $53 million a year, $181 million in total guarantees, it's a good deal for Brock Purdy, but it also feels like it's a pretty good deal for the 49ers, right?
I mean, there is good stuff over here for both sides. You're definitely right about that. And just going back to the initial point, I don't know why this happened on a Friday. Usually, whenever, especially the agent, whenever you do a big deal, you want to do that during the week. You want all the shows to talk about it. Doing it on a Friday into the weekend, it's just there's no football shows going on. So it makes no sense, but it is what it is. We're talking about it here today. We'll see how much coverage it gets throughout the course of Monday on other shows, but it's a good deal for both sides. And you're right about that. 5 years, $181 million. I have not seen the full structure yet. I have not seen all the details, the finer details in all of this. So we're going to have more details coming in throughout the course of the week. And if there's anything that's crazy about it, we will talk about it here on NFL Spotlight. But the $53 million per year, that is obviously a very significant number, because there was a lot of conversation throughout the offseason, really dating back to the regular season, when everyone knew that this contract extension was going to be looming at some point, that where does the number fall? And I know there are some analysts who are like, it's got to be in the fours. And some people are like, you'll be crazy if you do the fives. But the 49ers go into the fives over here at $53 million per year. And my read on it is the only way this thing got into the fives from the 49ers perspective was if they were able to get 5 years or more on the contract, because right now he has 1 year remaining on his rookie contract plus these 5 new additional years. So Brock Purdy is now under contract for the next 6 years in San Francisco. And as we know, the cap is going up. The quarterback market always goes up. Eventually, as long as Brock Purdy continues to play as a franchise quarterback, which is what he's done so far in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, it has been a perfect fit. Then this contract is going to be a really good contract as the years go by. You mentioned the $181 million in total guarantees. That includes injury guarantees. If you were to get injured, those trigger into full guarantees. But the full guarantees at signing, it's somewhere in that $100 million fully guaranteed range of years. So as soon as he puts pen to paper, he's going to have $100 million no matter what. The other 80 plus million is injury guarantees only. Again, we're going to see all the finer details to see when does that actually convert into full guarantees. The early belief over here, for what it's worth, is that the trade-off in this deal was Purdy's side was like, we'll do the 5 years, which is a very long-term contract. In exchange, we're going to get rolling guarantees. Now, what does that mean? So essentially, these guarantees are going to trigger a year early. So his 2027 guarantees are going to trigger in 2026. His 2028 guarantees are going to trigger in 2027. Whenever these quarterbacks around the NFL look at a Patrick Mahomes contract, Josh Allen's contract, Joe Burrow's contract, a lot of those contracts, which are, multiple years, Josh is 6 years, Patrick was 10, Burrow was 5. They all get those guarantees where it triggers a full year early, which basically guarantees you to be on the roster for 2 more years during that current year. So Brock Purdy was able to get that. And that essentially is like getting everything fully guaranteed when it comes to those total guarantees. So we're going to see the full structure here very soon. But this is the biggest commitment yet by the 49ers to Brock Purdy, and they have been standing behind him ever since he came into that game in his rookie year when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. If y'all remember, Trey Lance was the week 1 starter that year. He got injured as week 2. Jimmy Garoppolo came in. He gets injured as well. And then eventually Brock Purdy comes in as a rookie, the last pick in the draft. His first start was against the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. And of course, gets into the NFC Championship game, suffers an elbow injury. Is he still going to be the starter? They stood behind him. He became the starter in year 2. Of course, they make the Super Bowl. And then last year, a lot of injuries around the team. But they moved on from several players here this offseason with the understanding this was coming. And they knew they had the best bargain in football. Now they are finally paying the quarterback position. And the other thing about this is that for the first time in a number of years now, the 49ers are going to be going into training camp, into OTAs, with no real contract drama. They got George Kittle done. They have Brock Purdy done. Fred Warner is going to get done. Last year, of course, we had the Brandon Ayuk stuff, the Trent Williams stuff. Year before that was Nick Bosa. Year before that was Deebo Samuel. This year, the 2025 season is poised to be a drama empty year for the 49ers going into OTAs and training camp. But that is the bulk of what happened over here. And now he's under contract for the next 6 years in San Francisco. What a great story.
Yeah, and one other detail that I don't think you quite touched on there, but is interesting to me, not because it's something that would actually probably happen, but he does have a no trade clause, which is something that you don't actually hear about that much in the sport. Can you get a little bit into that, why that's included, and whether that would really ever come into play in the first place?
It's interesting because from my knowledge, the only quarterbacks in the NFL who actually have a no trade clause, a full no trade clause in their contract are Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson and now Brock Purdy. But the reason why it's not really a big deal to me is because as a quarterback, especially one who's making a lot of money, if you don't want to go to a certain team, you can make that known in public, and eventually that team is not going to trade for you. For example, like when Deshaun Watson was available from the Houston Texans, he had control to the point where if he didn't want to go to a team, he could have said, I'm not going to go there. And if you remember, there was a point where he told the Cleveland Browns, hey guys, you guys are out. I'm not going to you. And of course, the Browns were like, we want you. And they gave him the fully guaranteed contract. But the point being, if you're a quarterback and you're making a lot of money, the no trade clause really doesn't matter. You basically have one anyways without having it in your contract. But Brock Purdy did get one here in his contract from San Francisco. And if there was ever a point for whatever reason where they want to move on from him, I mean, Jared Goff got traded by the Rams once upon a time, unbeknownst to him. So I guess it could happen. So this now at least protects him that if for whatever reason Kyle Shanahan gets tired of him, the idea of trading him is completely off the table. And the only way it happens is if Brock Purdy signs off on it. So it is a detail in all of this. Again, all the other details in this contract are still coming out. We don't have all of it yet, but that is one of the details that we do know about. We do know about the injury guarantees. We do know about the full guarantees, but all the other details about when the money vests, how much he actually gets in year 1, year 2, year 3, the cash flow, all those different things are still not out there. So while we're out here saying it's $53 million per year, and it ties in with, Jared Goff on the highest paid players on the quarterback list, and it's more than Lamar and more than Jalen Hurts and more than Patrick Mahomes, the details will really tell us the full story to see, did he actually surpass those numbers? Or as we've spoken about here in the past on the show, does he have that Fugazi fake number on the back end, which makes the average look higher? So to this point, I have not seen the contract in full, but the initial details do tell us that he's getting $53 million per year on average with a no trade clause.
Not a bad deal for either side. The 49ers have already extended George Kittle as well, making him the highest paid tight end in the game. And it seems like they're also nearing a deal with middle linebacker Fred Warner. He's right now the second highest paid guy. He's just a shade under $20 million a year. He's got no more guaranteed money left on these final 2 years. And it seems like this deal is actually getting pretty close. Where do you think that they ultimately get to this? Like, when does this happen? And do you think that number is going to, in fact, jump the Roquan Smith number there in Baltimore?
So I would call it close to imminent on this one. So it could happen at any point this week. And that's why I was telling you the idea of a drama-free offseason, it's going to be real here in San Francisco. So Fred Warner, the $20 million per year by Roquan Smith, will be surpassed once this deal officially gets done. And he will become the highest paid inside linebacker in all of football. And again, you mentioned it, 2 years left on that contract, which he signed a number of years ago. No guaranteed money left also. But the bigger detail here, which is more important to San Francisco, is the fact that his cap numbers the next 2 years, 2025 and 2026, were just super high. It's $29.1 million this year. It is $26.7 million next year. By doing this extension, that $29 million number for this year is going to drop significantly, which obviously will help the 49ers from a cap standpoint. So that is a very, very big part of this as well for the 49ers as an organization. And of course, Fred Warner, since being drafted in the third round, he has been exceptional for them. He has been one of the best linebackers in football. And now he is going to be joining George Kittle as players signing third contracts in San Francisco. And really, when you think of these three big extensions San Francisco has done, Fred Warner, third round pick, George Kittle, fifth round pick, Brock Purdy, seventh round pick. To be able to hit it like that, it is quite impressive by that 49ers front office.
Impressive all around. And we're not done talking about quarterbacks, though, because there's more guys that are seemingly on the way. Lamar Jackson seems like a guy that's a case that's going to happen more, hopefully sooner than later if you're a Baltimore fan like myself. Patrick Mahomes is now seemingly criminally underpaid. I mean, even guys like Jalen Hurts, you start looking at these dudes that are slotting further down. Do you imagine that there's going to be a deal coming up soon with any of those guys? And if so, which one?
Yeah, so the Lamar Jackson one is one that we've been speaking a lot about, and it's simply because similar to what we just spoke about Fred Warner, his cap number next year and the year after are both $70 million plus. So the easiest way to bring it down is by doing an extension. And John Harbaugh, the head coach, has already said that whenever that deal gets done, he will become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, which would surpass the $60 million per year of Dak Prescott. So that one would make sense. Patrick Mahomes, even though his average is $45 million per year, it is worth mentioning that the Chiefs have adjusted that contract a number of times, and they've pushed a lot of dollars to the front to make it a very front-loaded contract. So, for example, this year, he is scheduled to make $50 million in cash. But again, they're going to have to keep on adjusting that deal every couple of years to bring him up to par with the rest of the quarterbacks. And the reality is, $50 million this year for Patrick Mahomes is still not enough, considering how much he means to that organization, how much he means to the NFL as a whole, especially with how they are using him on quite literally every possible important window on the NFL schedule. We spoke about it last week of the NFL schedule, the YouTube game, a Peacock game, this game, that game. They're always featuring the Chiefs. Go to Brazil, go to here, whatever it is. It's always because of Patrick Mahomes. But he's going to make $15 million per year. I don't think that deal gets touched right now. The other quarterbacks coming up over here in the near future, it's really next year. CJ Stroud becomes eligible. He could be talking about surpassing that Dak Prescott number. And I think considering how the Texans front office works, I think that contract has potential to be very historic, where we could be talking about, we saw what they did with Derek Stingley, 3 years, $90 million. Most of it was fully guaranteed. I think Stroud is going to be pushing to get as much as possible fully guaranteed, considering how that front office operates when it comes to contracts. They are very, very lenient compared to other teams. Baker Mayfield, after this year, only has 1 year remaining on his contract. Probably one of the better bargains in football right now is his deal in Tampa Bay. 3 years, $100 million when he became a free agent a couple of years ago. $33 million per year for his play for the quarterback market. That is a pretty good deal right now in Tampa Bay. So at this time next year, we could be talking about him as well. But Josh Allen already got extended in Buffalo. His deal is taken care of. But those are probably the two big ones coming up. Bryce Young, we'll see how he plays this year. He becomes eligible. Obviously, the rest of the quarterbacks in that draft class, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, we would call it unlikely right now. Very unlikely.
Very unlikely. I like the
Yep.
little slide in there to add that in. All right, Ari. Got to tell everyone to hit subscribe. But the bigger thing is we got our spotlight guest this week. Can you tell a little bit about who it is and why everyone should be excited?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one, Ben, and we have not had one in a number of weeks. So it's coming back. We're going to start having these every single Tuesday. And this is somebody who I have been wanting to get way before he became a GM. He became a GM this offseason. I am talking about Raiders GM John Spytek. He will be our guest here tomorrow, NFL Spotlight Guest of the Week. This is somebody who is a scout at heart. He really climbed the front office ladder, going from, starting as an intern in Detroit, going to Philadelphia, going to Cleveland, making his way eventually to Denver, and then, of course, ending up in Tampa Bay, where he was there for close to a decade working with Jason Light. And the Buccaneers front office, one of the very best in the NFL. Their drafts over the last several years have been truly impressive, and John Spytek played a crucial role in that. We were trying to get him as a guest when he was in Tampa Bay. I was like, gosh, there's so many people in Tampa Bay who deserve more recognition. John was one of them. He was like, listen, I appreciate it, but let me get into the big chair eventually, then I'll do it. And I was like, fine. I mean, I feel like if you go on the show, it's going to help, because he should have been a GM in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Finally got one here in 2025 with the Raiders. As soon as he got it, I texted him. He's like, no problem. We're going to make it happen. Let the offseason go by. Of course, the draft happens. We make it happen. Now, he is going to be our guest here on the show tomorrow as we talk about his career and, of course, this current Las Vegas Raiders team, which he is in charge of, along with Pete Carroll. That is coming up over here tomorrow. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends, whoever it is. It is a very, very fun episode with one of the bright executives in the NFL. We will see all of you here tomorrow morning.